All right, you guys, so today's day 2 of our snowflake making. The first thing that we're going to want to do is we've got this wonderful black piece of paper like that. And so the first thing we want to do is we're going to fold it in half, hamburger style, like that, because we're only going to need half this sheet. So then you can go ahead and once you have folded it in half and made a nice sharp crease so you know where to cut, you can go ahead and cut down that line as straight as you can. There we go. And you can save that other half for one of our future projects if you want to too. So that's what we've got going on. So actually yours will look like this to start, right? But what you can see we are going to be doing is cutting each of these pieces out one by one and gluing them on down to our sheet of paper. Now I think it works best. You can see my first cut, well, I'll show you on this one. My first cut was actually down here and I came down to get that center part. So that was what I wanted to cut out first so that I could put it in the center of my black piece of paper. And the reason why I wanted to do that was because I want to make sure that every time I cut out a new piece of my snowflake, I want to be able to glue it down right away. Because as you can imagine, if you were to cut all of these pieces out and have them scattered on your tabletop, it is going to end up being a very big puzzle for you to solve there, and that can get a little bit tricky. So what I usually do is I kind of cut off one point of the snowflake at a time, and I glue that down right away. And this is where I love this glue, because since it shows up purple on the back, we're able to make sure that we're getting all the way to those edges, right? So that's super important, getting all the way to those edges. And then I want to leave a little bit of a space, if you can see that, a little space between what I'm gluing down and the centerpiece. So there's always going to be a tiny little space between, and that kind of helps make it look like it's almost like stained glass when it's done, which is so beautiful. So, okay, gluing each of these down once again, making sure there's just a little space between all of them, like so. We'll get this one glued on. And this is what we're going to be working on today, is just getting our entire snowflake glued on. Does that go that way? Oh, actually this one goes this way. Not that it much matters, but I can see because the orange matches up here. But it doesn't really matter. You could have it go the opposite way too. Now I got to make sure I come back and I get this diamond piece that I hadn't cut out before. So I'm going to grab that one, cut that out carefully. Like so, trying to make sure I stay on those lines as good as I can. And we'll get this one glued down too. Now here's a little trick. Once you've got this all glued down, I like to put something heavy on top of all of it, like a book or something like that, because it just helps to make sure that all of those edges that sometimes curl up a little bit, that they stay down really well. All right, so then at the top of each of the diamonds, there's going to be one of these little circles. I feel like these are the hardest to cut, you guys. They're so teeny. And just making sure we get a nice round edge can be kind of hard. So we're definitely practicing those cutting skills with these tiny little circles. Even for me, your art teacher, this is a little bit of a challenge. All right, let's see. I can cut that like that. And then I'll trim the edges a little bit, make it a little bit nicer looking. So sometimes you just gotta cut off that excess paper and get those, oops, get those edges. There we go. All right. And now this tiny little circle, we'll get our glue on there too. And once again, those circles go at the point of our diamonds with that little bit of space in between. So I'm just gonna keep on working on this. You guys can see how beautifully it's coming along so far. You can see down in our slides what that's going to look like once it's all done. And I cannot wait to see yours. I hope you guys have so much fun.